Welcome back to this chapter 3.
Hey, excuse me. Can I say this? Welcome back to chapter 3 in Business of Honor. I'm here with Danny Silk, and we are just having a great time talking about this book.
Feel better?
I do.
Okay. So what we're going to talk about now is this whole story. This is the story that Bob journeyed his whole life to get to, and he's sitting in this chair, a man in process. But really, the idea is, how do we get at solving a life of accumulation that really is rooted in a bunch of lies, a bunch of things that are not true about who he is, not who God created him to be, and what do you do with that? Because it's not something that a lot of folks just turn off. It has a grace. It has a timing. It has a courage. It has generally some impetus. There's something there that leads me to have to deal with it, whether it's my marriage or failings in business, or some heartbreak with my child, or any number of things. I mean, when you look at this whole dynamic, what do you attribute most of the I got to do something about this to?
Well, yeah, I was trained by my dad to be an orphan, and so from ever since I can remember, the feelings that I had were that I was doing something wrong, something bad happened, it would be my fault. Mm-hmm. And you bring that mindset, that lens, into your primary relationship. So as Lauren and I moved through our marriage, I'm 58 years old today, and not today, but
not
now.
Birthday.
It's my birthday. But I have gone through seasons in my early 30s and my mid 30s of counseling, and in my 40s and my 50s, and even up to the point of writing this book. It's been a process. Mm-hmm. So one of the things that I want to encourage people with is we are in a process. Salvation is a process. It's not all going to come at once. Sometimes it does. Sometimes the Lord will do a miracle. More oftentimes, though, we are in a process.
So people think that when you write a book, you have arrived. You wrote a book. Like, well, oh gosh, no. I wrote a book about raising children. Mm-hmm. And, it's humbling when you write a book about raising children, and then your children act like people. Mm-hmm. Then they act like free humans, and they just do whatever they're going to do. You're like, oh no, what are people going to think? Hopefully people are going to think I'm just a person in process.
That's the thing that I want to get across is I'm a person in process. I have come a long way.
I love the fact that they left the disciples in the Bible. They actually allowed them to be them, so that we don't have to be something that we're not. Like Peter, I love that he's, who he is, and the Bible doesn't try to cover that up. I mean, Peter just makes me feel better about myself. I think that's the beauty of being in process. We're all learning, and I think it's crucial that we get to see that in each other as we move through this whole deal.
And as we talk about vulnerability and intimacy, being able to have people who can understand our struggles, who are safe to talk with our deepest and innermost fears and shame with.
Do you remember a place of breakthrough where I know in the book there's a couple spots where Lauren steps in and speaks to you. Don Williams would step in, Uncle Lou, different folks. I mean, you're kind of backing up the tape. Do you remember when there was like this first confrontation with the lies that are so connected to, the snowball.
Yeah, I think Lauren was just amazing with me because I would shut down. I would not communicate. I would hide, and she would say, "Where did you go?
Mm-hmm.
Where are you?" And
so it's a test of whether or not she does love me. She creates a safe place, and then she welcomes you to actually step out, and then you courageously do it.
Well, either courageously or she forces me.
Well, she doesn't. She can't control you.
I understand.
So, and she understands that as well.
So,
but she can invite you into this thing. She can invite you into this place, and you have to decide.
Yeah.
Am I going to step out there and meet her in this love, or am I going to hide in this place and keep fostering the lie?
And that was the struggle that I had over and over. And as I tested her love for me, she would respond. And sometimes she was just tired of it. You got to get this fixed.
Yeah.
And when I see the woman I love just frustrated with me, okay, I'll get it fixed. I'll start counseling. I'll start looking at it. I'll start trying to look at this issue. And that's where the processes come in.
And it's interesting that you say, that I would test her love. It's almost like some people would hear that as I was manipulative.
Yeah.
But really what you're doing is it's like you're sticking your foot out on the ice to see if it cracks, and you're jumping up and down and you're testing it because you're about to step out into vulnerability.
Yeah. And so back to my household that I grew up in, there was no vulnerability. There was no intimacy. There was only, lying for me in order to not get in trouble.
Yeah, because I'm going to be punished.
Mm-hmm.
There's a great chance I'm going to be punished no matter what, but maybe I can get out of it with a lie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'll seem better than I am if I lie. Maybe I'll avoid punishment if I lie. Which is, is the top two reasons people lie.
Right.
But they're both orphaned. They're both protect myself. Am I going to deserve love? Well, I have to be better than I am. Or am I going to be punished? Am I going to be hurt? Well, I have to avoid responsibility.
So that was the struggle. And so I can't really point to one time, but I can look over my life at the process of just continuing to try to look at these issues in order to make my love relationship with Lauren better.
Mm-hmm. And so, in order to really trust Lauren, you have to trust God. So there's kind of this dual relationship that keeps incrementally advancing. As you trust one, you have a breakthrough with the other. As you trust the other, you have a breakthrough with the one. And so there's growth that comes.
And it took me years to stop hearing the angry father.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That was the thing for me when Lauren would say, let's pray about this problem we're having. I would just think, wow, okay, we're going to pray. I'm glad we're praying to Jesus, but Father's looking over like, are you kidding me? You did that again? And it took a lot of time.
I hope Jesus is a good lawyer, because he's got to go deal with that angry father who hates me. Yeah.
Me and Paul, I'm the chief of the sinners.
Yeah. So why is it so easy to believe these lies, you think? Why is, the accusation of your natural father, why ongoing do you think it's just so easy to believe that you're to blame? That you're doing stuff wrong, that you'll never get anything right. Why does that feel so easy to believe?
Well, I think it takes a transformation. And transformed people think differently.
Yeah.
So everything that was poured into us at a young and impressionable age, we hold on to.
It's true.
Right.
Easter Bunny, Santa Claus, Tooth Fairy, I'm a creep.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my parents told me, I believe it.
But then you find the Lord, and you find this loving Father who's so good to us, and it doesn't add up until we come into somewhere inside of our heart, and some kind of circumcision happens, and we allow this love to flow through. And for me, it took my relationship with Lauren to finally find the Father.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I think that, let's talk a little bit about the shame stuff, the convincing identity that I am broken, that I am wrong, that I'm a sinner, that I am evil-hearted, I have, my desires are evil. I mean, what do you do about that in the light of most of my emotions line up with that?
One of the things that in one of your early teachings you say the difference between guilt and shame. You talk about the difference between guilt and shame. Shame is something that I've done, and guilt is who I am.
Guilt, I feel bad for something I've done, but shame tries to convince me that I am what I did.
That's it. Yeah. Most of the time I get stuff back.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so understanding that helped me to start to differentiate between the two. Mm-hmm. But shame has been a part of my life for my entire life. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I still deal with it. I'm at the office. We've made a decision. Our whole team has rallied around it. And the project or the issue goes sideways. And as a leader, I'm thinking, man, this is my fault. How could I have allowed this to happen? Yeah. Or if something happens in my marriage relationship with Lauren, and she's upset about a circumstance, and most of the time she's not saying it's your fault. Mm-hmm. But all I'm hearing her say is it's your fault. Yeah. And so she's been so great over the years because somehow she can see it in my face. Mm-hmm. And she'll keep saying, I'm not saying this is your fault.
I'm not saying that you're evil.
Right.
I'm not saying that you're bad.
I'm saying that I'm frustrated. I'm saying that the situation's frustrating me. I'm saying that this hurts me. I'm saying that I just need to connect with you. Mm-hmm. But I get defensive and start trying to protect myself.
So what would you say you do to identify a lie operating? Like, you now know what the truth is. You've been living in the truth. But how do you detect a lie?
That's a good question. One of the things that happened in the writing of this book is there was a lot of opposition. And so as I was writing this book, these lies would come and tell me I'm not worthy and tell me da-da-da-da-da, you name it.
But at one point they felt true. Why do they feel like a lie now?
Because I spent time before the Father and said, is this true? Mm. And that's a vulnerable place for me as a man to ask the Lord, is this true? Is that what I'm hearing true? And it was vulnerable for me to really ask that and sit in it and hear the answer no.
So you're actually just stopping and saying, Father, is it true that I'm a failure? That I'm unworthy? Is it true?
Yes.
And then it takes courage to hear something besides
something good.
Yeah.
And my scripture, Proverbs 3, 5, and 6, about trusting in the Lord and leaning not into my own understanding, acknowledging Him in all His ways, and He'll direct my paths. That scripture, I take and I plug in a situation to it. whether it's a complicated issue at work, whether it's an issue with my wife or my children, I'm saying, please help me.
Yeah. Please help me because you're not alone.
Right.
Please help me because someone will help you if you ask. Please help me means somebody cares about you. You're not an orphan.
And that's the thing where, but people, it's a no-brainer. Once you understand the Lord, it's a no-brainer. Why wouldn't you follow the Lord?
Yeah.
He's there. He's going to help you.
Yeah.
He's going to give you peace that passes all understanding.
Yeah. So good. So good. All right. Well, chapter 4 is coming up, and we're going to transition right here, but I really just appreciate the idea that I literally have to stop and plug in and ask Daddy, is what I'm hearing right now, is it from you? Is it the truth? Or is this a lie? Mm-hmm. And being willing to hear something good.
That is hard.
For me, it's breakthrough. That's how we get at this thing, is I'm willing to hear that He loves me very much. So we'll see you. This is a wrap up of chapter 3, and we're going into chapter 4 next. So we'll see you then.